Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, we are delighted you have joined us today to hear about India's high-value foods market. Before we begin, I'd like to make you aware of the toolbox on the right-hand side of your screens. All members of the audience will be kept on mute during the webinar. If you would like to ask a question during the Q&A session, we would kindly ask you to type these into the questions section on your toolbox. Thank you so much, and I will now hand over to UKIBC's food and drink consultant, Shubhi Mishra.
A very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar organized by UK India Business Council. Today we have with us Mr. Amit Lohani, who is founder and director of Forum of Indian Food Importers, the largest apex chamber of food importers active in India. Besides being the director of Forum of Indian Importers, he is also a member of Government of India's Food Safety and Standards Regulatory Ecosystem, and he is an importer himself, apart from wearing several other hats in the food and beverage arena. Amit is a close ally of UK in India and works on several platforms to support our interests. And I will now hand it over to Mr. Lohani for him to introduce you through the India's high value food market. Thank you so much. Amit, over to you, please.
A very good morning to all of you. My name is Amit Lohani. I represent Forum of Indian Food Importers along with Max Foods and other, as Shubhi has mentioned, other hats that I wear in the F&B arena into the country. The whole idea of this presentation is to present to you what India has to offer to UK in terms of its market, in terms of its consumers, in terms of the opportunity which British companies can avail, targeting Indian consumers who are aspirational, who are looking to buy international food, and the kind of affiliation that they have with the British food products because of their travels, because of their understanding and long-term affiliation, and also the fact that British food does resonate with a lot of Indians because we have this whole linkages for the last 100 years. So that is something which helps us to retain this business model between India and UK. And along with that, I would also talk about the food safety part of it. What are the regulations in terms of labeling? What are the current challenges? What should be your steps for the future to launch your products into the Indian market? So Forum of Indian Food Importers is an apex chamber, as stated by Shubhi. We are representing about $5.7 billion worth of buying power. We represent more than 1,600 brands from all across the world. We have a total of 5,220 plus members from different spheres all across India or spread across India. And our members are importing from 115 countries. So that is what we do as an association, what we are. We do a lot of B2G interactions. So everyone talks about India, but they also talk about the challenges in India, the barriers, whether it is tariff or non-tariff. We are one of those associations, forums, which make sure that these barriers are reduced to a minimalistic level. We have presented to the government in the last 8-9 years a lot of issues and concerns raised by importers who directly were not willing to go and talk to them. But as a chamber, as a forum, we've done that. And we've got resolution for a lot of issues that were raised by our members. And the government has also made us party to a lot of intergovernmental organizations or bodies or kind of committees that they make to make sure that the ease of business ranking of India goes up and the reputation of India as a tough market to enter needs to be kind of mellowed down. It's not that they are going to be coming with open doors to you, but when it comes to imports into the country, it's still tough. But I think the government is working towards making it much easier than it was earlier. Food safety is obviously one of the most predominant ones. Ministry of Food Processing. If a lot of companies come into India, they are looking at joint ventures in the long run. So where Ministry of Food Processing, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So these are some of the main government organizations which handle food and beverages into the country. We support many food events which happen into the country. Ahar is obviously one of the largest food shows, 70,000 trade visitors have, kind of made sure that this is the go-to show when it comes to food and beverage into the country. Anuga, Sial, Anuga has been, or Anu Food has been there in the last 13 years. Sial, it's in its second year. We also do international shows like Anuga and Sial, along with Gulf Food and Thai Fx. We represent a lot of international bodies. We work with a lot of trade bodies across the world, whether it is the Singapore Manufacturing Federation or the Polish Meat Federation or the German Export Federation. So we guide them in understanding what are the nuances of trade into the country. We are a not-for-profit organization, which makes it more prudent, as we are not funded by the government. We are more proactive in terms of reaching out to the government, telling them what's going on, what is the kind of reputation which is going out in the international arena, because we are the face of the government when it comes to international trade. Because we work with numerous governments, what we do is we garner a lot of, I can say, a lot of energies which are taken towards a positive direction. We understand how other countries work, how imports in those countries work, and then we try to not replicate, but in fact, we tell the government that these are the mannerisms of trade between different countries, and we should be able to adopt that into our country as well. We are one of the largest international single association which is representing food and beverage into the country. So the reason why India is popular all across the world, besides the Indian food, is the fact that we have about more than 1.3 billion people, which is the total population of the country. We have a middle class, which is anywhere between 450 to 500 million people. Now, that's something for a lot of products which come into the mass segment. But I think for most British products, this is the segment that you should be targeting, the 20 million, the niche, the people who are willing to spend money and take the relationship forward. So the total Indian F&B market is at this point of time $400 billion US, and is growing at a CAGR of 18 to 20% year on year. The exports from India are 40 billion, and the imports are about 25 billion. So that is what the Indian food and beverage market is all about. Now, if you see, there are huge changes in the dietary patterns in terms of we are eating more and more proteins. We are going towards animal protein. We're going towards cereal substitutes, vegetable and fruit. The consumption is growing. So over a period of time, we are seeing changes are happening. Consumers who get a little affluent, they are spending a lot of money on meat, fish, fruits, vegetables. Now, when it comes to, and dairy itself. Now, in India, when you look at the dairy consumption pattern, you only see 5%. But the reality of the market is when you look at international food, dairy plays a very important role. But in the Indian market, because we don't have a lot of value-added products, we consume milk is the main source of dairy. We don't have a lot of cheese products available in the country. So that's why international cheese and dairy makes a huge impact. So there is this myth, or you can say this thought across the world that India is a vegetarian country. So any product that you bring into the country has to be vegetarian. But if you look at this, kind of demographic chart, it clearly shows that, except if you look at north and northwest, majority of south is eating a lot of meats. They eat a lot of seafood. So that is something where we find that international foods, international meats, pork meat from UK have great potential into the Indian market. We already have salmon coming in from Scotland, and a lot of dairy cheddars coming in from UK. So those are the products which have great kind of long-term view products which can help you get into the market, penetrate the market with a perspective of penetrating each and every segment of the market, whether it is the urban areas or the rural areas. Because in India, that is something which is very unique about India, is that there is no area in India which is rich area or poor area. We have all regions divided in a fashion where a rich and a poor and a middle class, all of them are living in harmony together. So that means that you have potential all across India in every pocket of the market. Now, this is the food chart of India. What India eats and what is kind of happening in India. What comes from where? When you look at the north, it is about apples. When you look at the north western, you see a lot of lassi, and when you see south, it is about South Indian food. Also, what we see is that there is huge demand or growing demand for organic food, health food, gluten-free. It's becoming more and more popular. People are realizing that these kind of products, besides tapping into the aspiration of the consumer, also taps into the fact that they are getting into the health zone. The millennials want to eat a healthy option. They want to try and ape what's going on all across the world. And now trends don't come and go after 5 years into India. If there is a trend in South America, you'll see that within a few days or months, you see a similar trend in India. So the disposable income plays that important role, that they are willing to spend money on food and grocery, and they spend a lot of this on that. So we need to tap into their aspiration, we need to tap into their impulse, and we need to tap into their thought process or mindset where they are looking to buy these kind of products into, and bring them to their homes for the market to make sure that you have greater acceptability of these products. Now, the regulatory environment in India is kind of complicated because they have made multiple authorities. So if you look at it, if you're looking at the food segment, there is Food Safety of India, there is the Legal Metrology Department, which controls the weight into the of the product. Animal Quarantine is looking at whatever meat products come into the country, whether live or frozen or chilled. They need to test and make sure that no pesticides, no any kind of diseases which come with animal come into the country, or viruses. Same as with Plant Quarantine. APIDA is basically an division which handles organic, though their primary mandate is to export, but because it is part of the government, so they kind of look at the organic side. Now, every product or every shipment that comes into the country, we have to apply for a PADR, which is called Pre-Arrival Document Review, where we submit all the information on a single window, which is called SWIFT, into the system. So we upload all the documents. Now, these are the documents that we need to file: the bill of lading, the invoice, the packing list, the certificate of origin, the health certificate. There are certain times permits which are there, and there are sanitary certificates specifically for agri produce or fresh produce or dairy and meats. So these are some of the governments and the documents which are required by the Indian authorities. Obviously, there are fees and consignment clearance charges which are too high and increases the cost of the product. So any product that you wish to bring into the country, you have to look at a 4 times valuation of your FOB value. If you're exporting a product at £1, the maximum retail price in India is going to be £4. For better understanding of maximum retail price, India works on a single price across the nation. So you have to have a pre-decided price, which would be anywhere across India. That would be the maximum retail price. You can sell it at a discount, but you cannot, bring the price lower in different regions if the costs are lower. Even if the costs are higher or lower, you have to have a stagnant pricing policy across India, except for alcoholic beverages where states play a different role. These are the labeling regulations for the Indian product. Now, most of these regulations are already available to you, can be complied by, because the name of the food, the ingredients, the nutrition fact, name and address of the manufacturer for traceability, net quantities, these are aligned with Codex. But there are certain rectifiable things, like the veg, non-veg logo is a rectifiable thing. The name and address of the importer. Now, this can be rectified through a sticker that can be put on the product. This can be done at source, and it can also be done at the bonds in India. So if you bring it in a custom bond, you can do that. The food safety logo and number, email ID, contact information. These are some of the rectifiable errors that are allowed to be put in India on a detachable sticker. Next is what is India exporting to the UK? So currently the exports from India to UK are about 610 million in 2018. Majority of it is rice, obviously shrimps, black tea, grapes, and vegetables. On the other side, what are we importing? It's about 220 million, and we are doing whiskies, beverages, wood, animal feed. I don't see food in this because of the fact that a lot of processed food which comes into the country doesn't come in the top five products, but processed food is growing at a very fast pace, specifically when it comes to breakfast cereals, granola bars, chocolates, confectionery, a lot of vegan product, a lot of non-dairy products are coming into the country. So this is what the consumer-oriented products are, which are cashew nuts, food preparation, sauces, sugar confectionery as a toast and bread. Now, this is kind of a SWOT analysis that we've aligned for you guys. So what are the strengths of British products into the country? First, as I mentioned earlier as well, the positive affiliation of British brands into India, and also increased tourism. So whenever an Indian travels to the UK and goes to a gourmet store or a retail store, whether it is a Harrods or he goes to a Tesco, he buys these products over there, and then when he comes back, he wants to use the same products, and he demands the same products from the retailer in India. So that helps us a lot. This is that sometimes the price points are very high. You have Indian retail space, it's difficult to find Indian flavors. So a lot of times we get companies wanting to sell chutneys to us or a mint sauce. Now, it's impossible for a British mint sauce to come into India at 4 times the cost and being available in the retail market. I also find that there's a weakness that we don't see many brands from UK focusing on India. They are kind of more focused towards the EU market. That is something that needs to change. If you want to expand your horizon to India, you need to visit the country, meet the retailers, meet the hoteliers, understand what India is looking for, and I'm sure that all of you have products which would do very well in the Indian market. So let's come to the opportunities. The UK product, as I said, the taste is something which resonates with India. Currently what is happening is UK cash and carries play a very important role because they're able to consolidate a plethora of products into one container. That helps you to get deeper penetration, and a wider portfolio comes into the country. A lot of these cash and carries have now labeling facilities in-house, which means that they're willing to adhere to Indian regulatory norms. And I find that the products from Britain, whether it is health food, confectionery, they proceed at very high quality. So that is something which helps for us to market your products into our country. Some of the threats, obviously, everyone is talking about Brexit right now. So that is something which is not very good, because you do not know how things would change once Brexit comes into play. Competitors from other markets, whether it is US, whether it is Italy, whether it is Spain, they're investing huge amounts of money in India in terms of marketing budgets. That is something which will again have an impact, because your competitors are spending a lot of money in comparison when you don't have those budgets to enter the market. We do not have a free trade agreement with the UK. I think it's going on. It's an ongoing negotiation, but that is something which would help, because countries from Southeast Asia have these free trade agreements. Even countries from South America, some of them have trade agreements, which reduces the duty from 30% basic duty to about 0 or 10%, which helps us to get better access and a better value for the consumer. Fresh category is, we are still awaiting the phytosanitary permissions from the Department of Animal Husbandry and Plant and Fisheries and the Agriculture Ministry for the fresh category to be imported in India. So that is something which would help to grow the market further or have a deeper penetration in the market. Some steps for the future. Have India on your radar. It's a 10-year strategy. You need to think about India and in the long-term goal, do regular visits, at least one visit a year, bring a lot of importers back to UK, make sure that they come and understand how the products are sold in that country so that they can replicate some of those marketing tools that you have. Better to do all your due diligence with your business partners. You'll find importers a dime a dozen in India, but you need to know who's the right importer, whether he represents your category, whether he has the cold chain to take care of it, whether he has the distribution network to take care of it. Retail promotions are one of the most important factors when you need to penetrate the consumer market. So sampling, trade media, social media, trade shows and hospitality events. If you are planning all these activities, that is going to make sure that the success of your brand will be epitomed with a lot of influx in terms of revenue, and the numbers would be mind-boggling. Something which I always tell that India is not an easy market, so you need to have sustained efforts. You cannot come and go. You need to make sure that when you come here for the long haul. So you need to enter, you need to establish yourself, and you need to persevere and have. Now, those are some of my thoughts, and I would be more than happy to see if you have any questions or anything you want to understand about the product categories or pricing structure, or what is the difference between an organized and unorganized retail orientation, e-commerce, anything that you have, please throw at me and I would be happy to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit. That was great. We have had a few questions come in, so I will start off the proceedings. But to begin with, could you tell us which high-value UK brands have presence in India?
So, if you look at it, there are multiple. There's an echo. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, there's an echo. Okay, so I think Daxa, you'll have to mute yourself because otherwise it's echoing back.
I shall do that.
Yeah, please. Thank you. So there are multiple brands into the country which have come in. Haribo is one. Beona Organic is another one. From Scotland, you have Walker's Shortbread Cookies. There are jams and marmalades which have come in, which are in the premium segment, from the Coleman's of the world to whether it is Premier Foods, whether it is Naked. All of these brands are already available in the market and are on the shelves of both organized and unorganized players, and are now also being taken fancy by the e-commerce players, because they understand that people like us want further distribution, and it's impossible for us to penetrate to the deep down corners of India. So e-commerce plays a very important role in that.
Thank you. And do you think that Indians would prefer products that are produced in India by a UK company, or that they'd aspire to buy imported products?
So I believe that in the beginning, obviously, because of the aspiration, it is always good to launch your products under Made in Britain branding, because that helps. We've seen that in the past. We have an example of Eatrial quinoa snacks and Eatrial snacks from UK. They started exporting their products into the country, and the product was priced at about 250 rupees, which is about £3. And later on, they realized that if they want a deeper penetration or much wider audience, they need to produce in India. So recently, about 4 months ago, in fact, in April, they started producing in India. And today they are at a price point of 30 and 60 rupees, which means about 40 cents or 40 pence and 80 pence. So the price difference is huge. The consumers know it's a Britain brand. But what we still, when we were discussing with them, we did tell them that do use the British flag on the product so that they are able to affiliate the same.
That makes sense. Thank you, Amit. Another question we've had come in is, which countries do you see as major competition to UK brands in the high-value food space?
See, majority of competition comes in from Europe, because if you look at it, the perception of Indian companies or Indian consumers also to British products and European products is quite similar, especially Western Europe. So that is something. When you look at jams and marmalades, France has a huge, production of these products. Portugal has that. Juices, whether it is dairy products, again, Italy plays a very important role because they have cuisine-based products which work very well. There are many products from Western Europe and UK which kind of compete in the market, but you have to create your niche. You have to create your unique selling point. Now, that unique selling point cannot be priced, because both of the products come into a higher segment, but it can be quality, it can be packaging, it can be something which is a differentiating factor between your product and their product.
Thank you, Amit. We now have a question about labelling. So since dairy is from an animal origin, does it get classified as non-vegetarian? And if not, how should we label cheese which contains animal rennet?
So very frankly, there is a dichotomy in this, that Indian Animal Husbandry Department states that you can put a red dot if any cheese product has animal rennet in it. but the food safety clearly says that you are not allowed to import any cheese which has animal rennet. So right now, microbial rennet is the one which is coming into the country. So I would recommend that go for the vegetarian cheeses, because you will not be allowed to bring in the animal rennet products into the country legally.
Thank you, Amit. Now we've just had a question come through. Could you tell us any success stories of UK companies in India in this high-value food space?
As I was stated earlier, Eatrial is a great example of success in India. Weetabix, a big example. They've done tremendous business in India. They're selling currently about, as far as I know, about 30 containers a year of something which we did not like. 10 years ago, when they came up with Weetabix to India, everyone told them that it is not going to work. But now we find that everyone is consuming the product, and the taste is something which is very bland, which is not to Indian taste, but people are loving it. Or Ryvita. Now, all of a sudden, the Indians were not known to blackcurrant drinks. Then Ribena, sorry, my bad. Ribena came into India, and because of the entire Punjab influence, we found that a lot of people in Punjab wanted to, enjoy the same drink that they tried it in UK. So Ribena is one of them. So there are many examples of such, brands which have done tremendous into the country. In fact, if you look at it, we know that Haribo was coming in through Germany, but the company was not willing to change the labeling or packaging for India, and they had certain products which had German language on it. So Haribo from UK is coming into the country right now. So majority of Haribo coming into the country is through UK.
Thank you, Amit. Could you say a little bit more about how UKIBC and FIFI work or engage together to gain bigger objectives?
So the whole idea is that before it was UKTI, but now in the recent past we've seen the UKIBC has taken over all the marketing bit of it, and we work very closely with them. We are also, there is one British food festival or British food market which is being organized by UKIBC in Birmingham on the 5th, 4th and 5th of October, or 3rd or 4th of October. And not many members or importers are taking part in that, trying to come down to UK, make sure that they can bring more and more products. And after that, people are going to Anuga and will be meeting British companies over there. So IBC acts as a conduit between Indian importers, FIFI, and British companies.
That's great. Thank you so much. We have another question here as well, Amit. Sorry. Can you tell us about the marketing strategies that work well in the Indian market? And should we be focusing more on the organized or unorganized retail market?
So the most common and easiest form of marketing in India is sampling. Because of the fact that the consumer tries the product, he tends to like the taste and he is willing to spend money on that. The challenge with sampling is that unorganized retail in India is very small stores. So you're looking at anywhere between 500 to 700 square feet stores, but they do huge volumes. But for all this sampling activity, we do rely on the organized trade, which caters to about 10 to 15% of the total sales in India. So if you look at the Indian market, 10 to 15 to 20%, depending on each category, is consumed or is governed by the organized retail. About 80% is 85 is by unorganized retail. So it's not that unorganized retail is not important, because they are strategically located, they are owner driven, they are willing to amend themselves much faster, and they are willing to change. It takes a lot of time to enter an organized retail with listing fee and other barriers. But unorganized retail is faster to penetrate. They are better paymasters for Indian importers. So you need to target both of them. It all depends on the category or what kind of product portfolio you're looking at.
Thank you so much, Amit, for answering all those questions. We don't have any more, so I will hand over to Shubhi now just to make some final remarks.
Thank you so much, Dexa, and thank you so much, Mr. Lohani, for taking our time out of your busy schedule. We totally understand that you have other engagements, but thank you for giving us time and educating us. I would also like to talk briefly about that UKIBC is looking forward to host delegation of UK companies at India Food Forum in the month of February in 2020, and we are giving you this heads up ahead of time so that you're prepared for this 5-day trade mission, which is going to be action-packed. We will be providing the logistical and B2B support. We will be looking at engaging with the Indian regulatory bodies, will assist you with market and store visits, introduction with the importers organizations like FIFI, with Chef, and we also intend to host a reception with British High Commission. We look forward to, if you have any question in this regard, feel free to contact UKIBC team for the same, and we'll be more than pleased to revert back to you and to have you on board. Again, thank you everyone for your time, and we look forward to staying in touch. Thank you so much.